Okay, I think we're good. Okay, awesome. All right. Hi, everyone. I am Chi-Man Ruler 15, and today we are going to rant about the Despicable Me movies. Yay, I guess. No, I'm kidding. But yay, yeah. So today it will be Despicable Me. Tomorrow will be How to Train Your Dragon with Tan Man, but today it will be Despicable Me. So, let's start with an overview of the entire series. The chronology. Okay, so, for those of you who don't already know, Despicable Me has 5 films. One actually came out recently called The Rise of Gru, but I'll get to that in a moment. But anyway, I forgot to put the dates for these movies. Shit. Oh my god. Okay, one moment. Let me just look really fast. Okay, let's see. Okay. Shit. Okay. Hold on. God damn it. There we go. Okay. That should be... Oh. That should be all of them. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. So, Despicable Me. Okay, so the first movie was made in 2010, and then they made a sequel in 2013, and then they made a third film in 2017. But before the third film, they actually made a prequel movie called Minions in 2015. And then, and this is the latest movie, they made Minions Rise of Gru, which was a sequel to Minions in 2022. So, yeah, there's a main series, the trilogy, and then there's a prequel series. So, the Minions and the sequel, The Rise of Gru. And Gru actually does appear in the Minions movie as well, but at the very end. But anyway, let me just... Sorry, one moment. Oh, hi, Fish OPG. Okay, so... let me cover the timeline of the canon. So this is the timeline of the releases of the films. So here's the plot timeline. So again, you have the prequel series. So you have Minions first, and then Minions Rise of Gru, and then you have Despicable Me, and then Despicable Me 2, and then Despicable Me 3. So quick overview. The Minions movie tells... It's an origin story of the Minions. For the Rise of Gru, it's similar, but with Gru as the focus instead of the Minions. And then Despicable Me explains how Gru got a family. Despicable Me 2... sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to summarize this movie as best as possible. Despicable Me 2... in that one... Oh yeah, Gru gets a girlfriend. And Despicable Me 3, Gru ends up reuniting with his long-lost twin brother. So, yeah. So yeah, that's basically those movies. But there's more to it than that, of course, but yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the first Despicable Me movie. So, let's see. Okay, so I'm not gonna bother typing up a synopsis. I'll just read right from Wikipedia. But anyway, you have... Okay, I'm sorry. Here's a synopsis. So, Gru, a supervillain, adopts three girls, Margot, Edith, and Agnes, from an orphanage to try and steal a shrink ray from his rival Vector, who's the son of Gru's boss, actually. And Gru plans to use the shrink ray to steal the moon. So he adopted the three girls to use them at first. Like he didn't actually want to adopt them. He just wanted to use them to for his own selfish purposes. But over time, he actually does form a bond with them. But at one point, his rival kidnaps the girls because his rival didn't like the fact that that Gru stole his shrink ray, and used it to steal the moon. So Gru has to go and save the girls, and he does, and Vector ends up stranded on the moon. And so the villain gets defeated, and then Gru saves the girls with the help of the minions, and everything's all nice. Everything's all happy and nice at the end. There's more to it than that, but I don't feel like summarizing any further. So yeah, basically it's a bad guy turned good kind of film. Classic trope. But the way it's told here is, in my opinion, actually unique. But anyway. Oh, hey, Thomas. What's up? So, let us talk about the positives. The positives. Okay, well, I will say one thing. The animation is actually quite good. I actually like it. The characters are expressive. Everything looks nice and colorful and bright and detailed. Yeah, I actually like the animation style. And it still looks good to this day. It does. So, really, they did a good job with the animation. The humor, I like the humor. The humor was good. I really should keep my tenses consistent. The humor was good. Like, there were plenty of moments in the film that actually made me laugh. Both from Gru, from the minions, and from the girls that Gru adopted. They all had funny moments. And let's see, what else? The characters, I like the characters. I liked all of them. I liked the minions. I liked the Margot and her sisters. I liked especially Agnes. Agnes is just too cute. I love her. And I liked Gru. Yeah. Vector, he was okay. He was okay. I like him a little. He was okay. He was okay. Although some people find him annoying. Probably a lot of people found him annoying. But I thought he was okay. Hold on one moment. Okay, sorry. Oh, finally Maple's here. Now it's a party. Not that it wasn't a party when the other two were here, But like, you know, it was kind of dead in the chat, so. Sorry. Sorry about that. Like, can y'all hear me now? Sorry about that. Okay, yeah, you can. Okay, okay, good. Yeah, I'm sorry. My computer, I guess maybe it was overheat a bit too hot, so I guess it turned off. I have a cooling pad. I put on a cooling pad now, so it should be okay. I forgot to use it before the stream started, but it should be okay now. Although that's probably not even the only reason as to why my computer turns off randomly. But just whatever. Anyway, where was I? All right. So, yeah, I don't blame you, Tin Man, for being. I said Tin Man. I don't blame you, Maple, for being sick of the minions. To be honest, like, I got sick of them by the third movie. If I'm going to be honest. Like, at first I liked them, but, you know, the problem is that they're everywhere. They are literally everywhere. So, like, toys, like, you see them everywhere in commercials and toys, like, on TV, like, really everywhere. It's just frustrating. It's like, you just want to just, like, stop seeing them everywhere, but they're everywhere. And they even have their own movies. So if you can't stand them in the original trilogy, don't watch the movies. you're going to get like you're going to be driven mad. They will drive you crazy. They are always you see them all the time at work because they are always prizes for the games area you work at. Oh, I'm so sorry, Maple. Damn, I feel bad for you. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think Illumination Entertainment, or whatever the fuck they're called, I think, like, they overuse the minions. And what's also annoying is that if you buy the DVDs, Blu-ray, 4K, whatever, if you buy any of those formats, like, no joke, like, the main menu animations feature only the minions. Like, not Gru, not his family, not the villains, just the minions. And I'm like, okay, I get that the minions are the face of Despicable Me, but that doesn't mean that you get to push aside the main characters like that. Like, that's the thing. Like, the minions are they're basically the face of this franchise, but not in a good way, and it's irritating. It's like no joke. I remember, like, I have all the DVDs of the movies except for Rise of Gru because that one hasn't come out yet. And it's irritating because. And it's irritating to, like, put in Despicable Me in my Blu-ray player, and and like you're at the main menu and you see only the minions, and it's like, guys, there's more to these movies than just the minions. Come on. In SpongeBob's voice, they are everywhere, everywhere. Exactly. They're even toys in fast food restaurants. I'm not sure if they're still toys, but at one point they were toys. Like, they're everywhere. Which makes me wonder how Gru's able to keep all of them in his house. Like, there's a shit ton of them. Plus, I think they're all male, so how do they reproduce? You know, I'm not even going to answer that question. I'm not even going to think about that. Not, like, some things are just better left, some questions are just better left unanswered. But anyway, I went off on a tangent there. Will there be any Michael Jackson The Experience videos in the future? Probably not. I'm pretty much done with the series. I've played all three versions. So I played the PS3 version, the Wii version, and the 360 version. I don't see a reason to go back to any of them. I don't even want to touch the Kinect version again. One time was enough for me. I hated the Kinect version. And I've already had like at least three streams for the PS3 version and for the Wii version. So I'm pretty much done with that series. But anyway. Don't even get me started with that. It makes as much sense as the world of Cars, right? Like in Cars, so like how do cars like reproduce, let alone grow? Like how do they grow up? Like because like so they and like how do they look as fetuses? Like how does that work? But again, these are questions that are better left unanswered. Sometimes you just need to throw logic out of the window, like out the window, for there to be an actual story or world or whatever. Sometimes you just have to do that. It's fine. I mean, not everything in fiction has to make sense, but you can't help but like just notice some of the weird implications that some of these stories have. You just can't help but notice it. Notice these implications. You just can't help but notice them. But anyway. But yeah, I like the characters. I like the minions, but yeah, honestly, I'm just kind of tired of seeing them everywhere. They're funny, but like, they're not that great. We don't need to see them everywhere. Calm down, please. Calm down with that mess. Okay, what else is there? I like the music. The soundtrack was good. The soundtrack in all the movies is good. But I like the soundtrack in this one. It was nice. Like the ones that play during the action scenes, those tracks were nice. I also liked the one song that plays when, like when there's this montage of Gru like just doing household chores or whatever, and then with the girls, with the girls in the house, and they like at one point they like messed up his laundry. I like the song that plays during that scene, but yeah, like I don't really remember what the tracks are named, so I can't, expand on this. Wreck-It Ralph. I should watch that series. I haven't even watched that series. I should get into that series. But not right now. I'll do it in the near future. Although I've heard that Ralph Breaks the Internet just outright sucks. So, yeah. That. Oh, man. Oh, shit. When I get to that one, I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. Because if I end up finding it as bad as everyone else does... I'm definitely going to have fun tearing into it. Kind of like with the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild for the Ice Age series. Man, Tammin and I had a blast ripping right into that one because it was just awful. Just watch the first one. Yeah, I've heard that the first one is good. But I don't think I've watched any of it. Probably like bits and pieces of it, but not the entire thing. Only watch the second one if you want to rant about it in the future. Yeah, I've heard that the second one has problems too. Really, I think the first one is the best one from what I've heard. So the Carnival Game booth guy's voice in the first Despicable Me film is the same as the voice of Fix-It Felix from Wreck-It Ralph. Okay, that's interesting. The more you know. But yeah, I like the soundtrack. Let's see, what else? I like the story. I mean, yeah, it's like the trope, again, the whole bad guy turned into good guy thing. I mean, it's not exactly a unique trope, but who the hell cares? Like, Stories have been retellings of various ideas for who knows how many years. So who cares if Despicable Me uses a trope like this? What's important is that the trope be used in a unique way. So who cares if it's another bad guy turned into good guy story? Does it matter? As long as the story is unique and enjoyable, that's really all that matters. I mean, just look at the bad guys. It has a similar premise, yet people loved it. But yeah, I did like the story. I liked how Gru turned into a good guy at the end. So, or at least there was an implication of it. Like I don't think he officially becomes a good guy until like the second film. But whatever, you get what I mean. In any case, he does. I do like his transformation here. And the girls again. The girls again. I like this. I like the girls as well. Like how they finally start. They actually do start seeing Gru as their father. And it broke my heart that Gru initially gave them up for adoption. He didn't want to, but his assistant, Dr. Nefario, or whatever his name is, you know, forced, like, just outright called the orphanage to come pick the girls up. Much to Gru's dismay, but Gru did come back for them and regain their trust. I did like the story. I'd say Gru not so much becomes a good guy, but more of a better guy. That's fair, because in the sequels he does retain a bit of his villainous tendencies. So, yeah, that's a good point to make. But he overall does become a better guy. Megamind. I've never even watched Megamind, honestly. I know about it, of course, because in pretty much every DreamWorks movie I have on Blu-ray and 4K and DVD, that film has come up a number of times in previews. But I've never watched it, nor do I care to. I might think about it, I just don't care to watch it. I don't know why. There are just some movies I just don't care for. But anyway. Oh, hi, Alex. Megamind is like a better version of Despicable Me, in my opinion. Oh. Now I'm a little curious about it. Maybe I should give it a watch, but again, if I ever do, it's going to be in the future, like with Wreck-It Ralph. But yeah, I think Megamind has like only one movie, right? I don't know. I know there's at least one movie. Oh yeah, I forgot. DreamWorks also has Monsters vs. Aliens, which was also nice. Which is also a nice movie. I think it also had a sequel and a series, both of which I don't really care for. Yeah, I'm sorry. The only series, the only DreamWorks series I care about is the Penguins in Madagascar. That's it. Every other one, How to Train Your Dragon, Monsters vs. Aliens, Kung Fu Panda, I don't care about any of those. I just don't. I'm sorry. I just don't. I feel bad, but I just don't care about them. But anyway. Yeah, DreamWorks released The Bad Guys in 2022. Which I have in 4K and Blu-ray. I ordered it from Amazon. I just haven't gotten it yet. It'll be a while before I get it. But yeah. But anyway, but yeah, I'll check out Megamind then if it has a similar premise to Despicable Me. Because I do know that Megamind did at first start out as a villain. I do know that much. I just don't know because I've never seen the movie, so I don't know anything beyond that point. The Bad Guys is pretty good. It is. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's so good. Oh man, it's a good movie. Although the plot is quite predictable and it does use a number of common tropes, it's still enjoyable. I still like the story. And the story never tried to pretend that it was all clever with this twist, because honestly, you could see every twist coming from a mile away. I saw almost every twist coming from a mile away. I was like, oh, this character is going to be a former villain or whatnot. Like, we all saw that coming. Like, come on. It was pretty obvious. But still, it was a great film. Diane Foxington. I know a lot of people, no joke, a lot of people were turned on by Diane Foxington and Mr. Wolf. Like, those two characters, a lot of people were attracted to them. Like, seriously. Even Saberspark. You know, Saberspark, the famous movie critic, he was turned on by Diane in his review of The Bad Guys. He's like, I'm not a furry, but, and I'm like, Saberspark, you're not fooling anyone. We know you're into that. You want to tap that. We know. But anyway. Sorry, I didn't mean to digress. But yeah, DreamWorks, I love them. Although not all their films have been successful, they do have some successful ones, like How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, Madagascar, and so on and so forth. Anyway, let's see. Going back to this, is there anything else I can say? Let me look at my previous rant streams because I don't even remember like the common points I make in these streams. Let's see. Let me look at my list. I think I've covered... Oh, right. The voice acting. The voice acting was good. It was good. I thought everyone did a good job. And yeah, Miranda Cosgrove is the voice of Margot from... Yeah, she was the voice of Margot, the eldest sister. Which I honestly didn't know at first either, but then I watched like one of the bonus videos on the, I think it was either the first or second Despicable Me disc. And and in that video, Miranda Cosgrove talked about her experience voicing Margot. And for those of you who don't know who Miranda Cosgrove is, she's the little sister Megan from the Drake and Josh series on Nickelodeon, and she's also the star of the iCarly series on Nickelodeon, and the remake as well, the iCarly remake, which I haven't watched any of. Reboot, not remake. I'm sorry, reboot. Well, no, more like a continuation. That's a better way to explain it. It's not exactly a reboot or a remake. It's just a continuation of the series with Carly and Freddie and Spencer older and, you know, living adult life. Well, Spencer's been living adult life, but you get what I mean. Anyway. But yeah, Miranda Cosgrove is the voice of Margot. So, fun fact. Okay, I guess there were some good action scenes. In this film. Really all the films have good action scenes, in my opinion. Even the Minions movies. Really, that's something that Despicable Me does a good job at. The action scenes. That range, that like the action scenes are actually quite good. Like they have a perfect blend of seriousness and funniness. Like just Like they balance the whole, they balance humor with seriousness in those scenes pretty well. Like it's like, oh my god, the heroes might actually die or get hurt, but at the same time it's funny. So there were some good scenes. Uh Oh yeah, okay. I don't blame you for feeling that way about the new iCarly show, Maple, because yeah, I saw on YouTube that Jeanette McCurdy, she came out about her experiences of working as a child star, something like that. Like she had written a few memoirs when she came out about all that stuff. Um, so like apparently, uh, she just didn't have she didn't have a very good experience when it came to acting. Not that I blame her. Not that I blame her. In fact, at one point, I think she suffered from an eating disorder, which really didn't help because her character Sam was known for eating quite a bit. But like that's the extent of my knowledge. If you want to know more about this stuff, you'd have to go look it up. One of my favorite non-franchise DreamWorks movies is Over the Hedge. I need to go and watch that. For some reason I've never watched it. I've heard about it, but I've never watched it. I need to go and watch that. The B movie I don't care about, but Over the Hedge, yeah, I need to go and watch that. Okay, so are there any? I think those are all the positives I can cover regarding Despicable Me. So are there any negatives? Well, hmm, any negatives? Um, I could think of a few negatives for the second and third movies, but for this one, I can't really. I'm trying to think of some. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of some, but I can't. I can't really think of any examples. Like, not that the film is perfect. Don't get me wrong. It's not perfect. It's good, but it's not perfect. I'm just trying to think of negatives. Hmm. I don't know. I can't really think of any. In fact, actually, out of all the films, including the side films, I think this one's the best one. Despicable Me. The first one is definitely the best one. I like all of them, but the first one is the best one to me. Oh, your younger brother started going back to school? So did my cousins. You guys know my cousin Stephanie and her sisters. They're in school now. They've been in school for a bit, and Stephanie's in 10th grade now. Actually, she's gonna turn 16 next month. Actually, no, 2 months from now. No, 3 months. Yeah, she turned 16 in November. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, school start pretty much everywhere now. For me, college starts next week. But but for people who but for everyone who's in elementary school, middle school, junior high school, secondary school, primary school, whatever you want to call it, grade school, whatever. I think school's pretty much started for all of them. Uh, oh shit. He turned 15 years old way older earlier this year. Oh, okay, so he's a little younger than my cousin Stephanie. But I don't know. I can't really think of any negative shit. What the fuck? Where's my cursor? Oh, there it is. Why did it disappear like that? That's scary. That's so scary. Okay, here, hold on. Yeah, Phil, I'm looking at some of the reviews, and the reception for this film is actually quite positive. So I'm going to be hard pressed to find examples of negatives. So I'm just going to leave the negative list empty. Man, I feel old now. How do you think I feel? Like, I'm almost 28. And Blue Typhoon's almost 29. In fact, I think that all the people on the server, he's the oldest, and I'm the second oldest. And Maple's like, what? I think he's 3 years younger than me. So, he's like, what? 24 or 25? I don't remember. You turned 21 last month. Yeah, you are old. You're right. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. Well, screw it. Let's just go on to Despicable Me 2. Okay, so Despicable Me 2. In my opinion, not as good as the first, but still enjoyable. Okay, hang on, I'm just looking up the... Okay, here we go. Alright, so let's go on to the synopsis, which, again, I will read on Wikipedia. So, Gru is no longer a villain, and he is now... He's now the owner of a company that manufactures jellies and jams. Unfortunately, his products are shit. Like, they just taste absolutely awful. Even the minions think so. Like, and Dr. Nefario, Gru's assistant, he misses he misses being the villain with Gru. So he decided to go and look for employment elsewhere. Gru was sad, but decided that it was for the best. And so he and the minions gave Dr. Nefario a proper farewell. And then Gru suddenly got recruited by this organization of spies. The Anti-Villain League, I think that's what they're called. Something like that, and yeah, he gets kidnapped by one of the spies. Her name is Lucy Wilde, and yeah, she ends up becoming Gru's girlfriend, but we'll get to that later. So she takes him and two of the minions who tried to rescue Gru. She knocked them out too. She takes all three of them to the organization's headquarters, and then they ask Gru to help them track down a villain who Like they're like the organization is investigating the theft of some substance called PX41, which when injected into someone mutates them into a horrible, grotesque, murderous, indestructible monster. And it was stolen from some base in I'm guessing Antarctica, somewhere there, or the Arctic Circle, or whatever. And so now they're asking Gru to help them. The Anti-Villain League is asking Gru to help them find out who stole the substance. And they wanted Gru specifically because he used to be a villain, so he would know how to think like one. Gru initially declines and calls him out for kidnapping him, and rightfully so. That was a pretty dick thing to do, although I can kind of understand it, because they probably thought he wouldn't come otherwise, though they still could have asked him first, but whatever. But then Gru later is like, you know what? Maybe I should go and do it. My company is shit, so let's go and do it. So he actually teams up with Lucy, the new girl, and they work together, and they find someone who actually had the serum in his shop in a mall. Since Gru's the father of a bunch of adopted girls now, Margot suddenly takes an interest in the boy, and the Gru is like, oh hell no. And he finds out that the boy is the son of one of the shop owners at the mall, not the owner of the shop that had the substance in it. No, that was a different person. But yeah, and Gru lets that obsession with the boy gets in the way of his work, and he gets let go as a result. While Lucy gets promoted because they found the person who had the substance. Although, as you'll see later, that person was actually not the villain. The villain was the father of Margot's love interest. So he owns some restaurant that sells Latin American food or whatever. I think his name was El Macho, and funny thing is, the funny thing here is that Gru actually insisted that this guy was the villain, even though he didn't have any trace of the substance in this restaurant. But it turns out that that Gru was actually right about the guy, which was really funny and ironic. Although honestly, you could kind of see that twist coming from a mile away. But anyway, and Gru sneaks into the restaurant owner's hideout, and the restaurant owner finds him, but surprisingly, the restaurant owner actually wanted to talk to Gru because apparently the restaurant owner, El Macho, I'll call him El Macho. El Macho had been kidnapping a bunch of minions. But he had been kidnapping Gru's minions, some of Gru's minions, with the help of Gru's former assistant, Dr. Nefario. And he wanted to turn them all into El Macho injected all the minions he kidnapped with the serum, so that he could have an army of monsters that he wanted to use to rule the world. And he was actually willing to work with Gru and Dr. Nefario. Gru was like, hell no, and he left. He didn't say that. He was like, he pretended to be into it, but then left quickly. And then he decided to take the girls and leave, but Lucy unfortunately came at the wrong time because she was looking. She came to see him because, and I forgot to mention this, but she left for Australia because of her promotion. Because she was promoted, she she had to move to Australia, but then she literally jumped out of the plane mid-flight and decided to stay with Gru. Like, she wanted to stay with him because earlier in the movie they had a romantic moment or whatever, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, like she came looking for Gru, and then she got kidnapped by El Macho, and then Gru, um, decided to go after El Macho himself, and with the help of Dr. Nefario, who's now back on his side. Well, technically he was never against Gru, but whatever. And with the help of the Gru's girls, and with the help of the remaining minions that weren't turned into monsters, he turned all the monster minions back into regular minions and defeated El Macho. Oh, but El Macho had Lucy strapped to Rocket. The rocket blasts off, but Gru manages to save Lucy in time before the rocket flew into a volcano and exploded. And Gru and Lucy realized they loved each other, and then later in the movie they get married, and that's that. So yeah, it's funny how I just tried to like. It's funny how like I just didn't go for just a for just like a one sentence or two sentence synopsis. I just basically talked about the whole plot of the movie. Because I don't know. I guess I just couldn't do that for the first film. Surprisingly. Anyway. Oh, you turned 25 in May, Maple? Oh, okay. But yeah, let's get to. But that was basically the whole plot of Despicable Me Movie 2. I also forgot to mention two things on last week's Rantstreams. The first one is that Ice Age 4 is a personal guilty pleasure of mine, even though I have mixed feelings about it, to be honest. Yeah, that's the same way Tamron and I felt when we talked about it. It's a mixed bag, but we like the movie. And it's certainly better than Collision Course. Collision Course is just... It's not terrible, but it's just not good either. It's just very what the fuck. Very, very what the fuck. Although at least it's not as bad as Buck Wild. I mean, there's no Ice Age film that surpasses that movie in terms of poor quality. But anyway, I've never actually watched Meet the Robinsons. No, actually, I did watch it once. No, I remember watching it once, actually. I don't remember much of the plot, but I do remember that it involved going into the future. The main character actually goes into the future, I think, and meets his younger relative, his relative from newer generations. Whatever, it's something like that. I do remember watching the plot now. I just don't remember a lot of the plot. But anyway. Ice Age 3, I like it, but I like 2 a lot more. Ice Age 3 kind of wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, I liked it, but it's just... I liked 1 and 2 more. A lot more. 3 was fine, but 1 and 2, I just like those a lot more. In my opinion, the second one's the best one. Or rather, the first one's the best one, but the second one is my favorite. Yeah, the first one's the best, but the second one's my favorite. That's how I feel. But anyway, Despicable Me 2. Positives. Okay, well... positives. Alright, so... The humor was good. Yeah, there are still moments that'll make you laugh, but that's pretty much in every Despicable Me film, so there's not much I can say about that. There's really not much I can say about these movies in general, because unlike, say, Ice Age, where I had a lot to say, as well as Tan Man, but here, there's not really much I can say about these movies. I don't know why, I just can't. But, yeah, the humor was good in this one. Plenty of moments that make you laugh. The animation was also good. Definitely good. Like I thought everything looked good in the movie. The movie still looks good to this day. I mean, it was made in 2013, so of course it's not going to look shitty. Well, as long as there's a competent team behind it. But, yeah. But still, the animation does still look good. What else? Oh shit. My bad. Okay. Let's see, I'm not going to say the story was good because I have issues with it. But, I mean, it's not bad, but I have issues with it. I have quite a number of issues with it. Honestly, out of all the three main films, I think the second one was the weakest in terms of writing. That's just how I feel. Like it just has a few writing issues, but I'll talk about those in a moment. So, let's see what else. Let me go back to the previous lists. The characters. No, I'm sorry, but the first movie had a better cast of characters, so I'm not gonna give this movie points for that. Sorry. Because, I'm sorry, just no. Actually, I liked Lucy. I liked her. She was an interesting character. But, the villain, El Macho, no. I just didn't care for him. So I'll just say Lucy. The new character, Lucy, was interesting. I know this is subjective, but I found her interesting. And funny. What else? I like the soundtrack. I thought it was good. I also like that they have the song Happy, the one by Pharrell Williams. That actually makes an appearance in this film. And it plays when Gru, after Gru, has a romantic moment with Lucy. But, yeah, I like the soundtrack. Of course, the music during the action scenes was also pretty good. Dawn of the Dinosaurs is a guilty pleasure for me as well. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that, it's just not really all that great. But it's not bad. It's better than Continental Drift. In some ways, anyway. But, yeah, honestly, I think that the first two Ice Age movies are the best ones. Dawn of the Dinosaurs... Tammy likes that one a lot. I'm just I like it, but I liked the Meltdown more, as well as the first one. Sorry if I don't comment on any of the movie here, but I remember jack shit about any of the sequels and spin-offs. That's fine. I watched parts of the second one at the store in the electronics section at Walmart, and the bootleg version of the third one, and Minions, but I don't remember much about any of them. Fair enough. I like the new weapons, like the lipstick taser. Yeah, which brings me into the action scenes. The new weapons were good, as well as the action scenes. The action scenes were great. Actually, I'd say the action scenes were even better in the second film than in the first. So that was definitely a step up. Lucy kicks ass, as well as Gru, and the Minions too. And even the girls, Margot, Edith, and Agnes get to use some weapons. Well, they're not really weapons. Just they're weapons. Well, they're guns that spit out serum. The antidote for the PX-41 substance that some of the minions were injected with. Still, but it was still a nice little scene for them to have. But anyway, but yeah, good action scenes, great action scenes. Granted, I've actually heard decent things about the Rise of Gru, but I just don't care. Fair enough. I know, it's like, there are just some series that you don't care for, that you won't care for. But, yeah, I did watch Rise of Gru with my cousin Stephanie and her boyfriend. We all went to AMC theaters in the evening, and we watched it, and we had fun with it. I liked it. I honestly think it's better than the Minions movie. I will give it that much. The Minions movie is probably it was nice, but it's just not as good as it's just not as good as 1 or 3. It might be on par with 2 though. But anyway, we'll get to the Minions movie and Minions: The Rise of Gru later. Anything else? To tell you the truth, I don't really care about Illumination movies in general. I think I feel the same way, because honestly, Despicable Me is the only one that's the only series that I actually remember, that I know about. I'm sure they've made other movies, but I don't care to look them up. I just don't care. But anyway, let's see. Anything else? The voice acting. The voice acting was good. But that's pretty much that's pretty much the case in every Despicable Me film, even the side films. Good voice acting. So the voice acting was good here too. And I can't really recall a performance that was outright bad. But yeah, the performances range from decent to good, to great even. So yeah, I think those are all the pauses I can touch on. I think. Now the negatives. Okay, I have a few negatives here. So, okay, oh, hi, Zach. You mostly only like 1 and 2. Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, so negatives. So, Gru in this movie, Illumination was like, you know what? Gru needs something to do. Let's give him a girlfriend. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. I need to stop making that joke. But, yeah, he does get a girlfriend in this one. Okay, I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm sorry if I hurt all the Gru and Lucy shippers, if there are any. I'm sure there are any. Some, I mean. But Gru's romantic relationship with Lucy was forced as hell. I said it. Sorry, I said it. I had to say it. It's forced as hell to me. It's forced as hell. Because they start falling for each other almost out of nowhere. And I'm just like there was almost no build up to it. Okay, so Gru was put on this date with, he has this annoying neighbor who put him on a date with some girl, and the date was going horribly, and Gru had actually decided to put on a wig to hide his bald head or whatever, which his date found out about. She eventually realized that he was wearing a wig, so she was about to take it off, but Lucy knocked her out. And then Gru and Lucy tried to take her back home before anyone realizes what they did, and before anyone realized what they did, and during that moment, Gru and Lucy start bonding as a couple, and that's it. And I'm like, so this is how they fall in love with each other? One of them knocks out the other's date, and then they both have a blast, like trying to get her back home without getting the attention of the cops. That's your idea of a romance buildup? Okay, yeah, no, sorry, just no. I'm sorry, just no. No, this comes out of nowhere, and it feels forced. I mean, yeah, they have a lot in common. Like, you know, they're both basically spies, but still, like, there needs to be a proper build-up for a relationship like this to happen. It can't just happen out of nowhere. Like, it just makes no sense to me. Like, it's just, no, sorry, no. I thought it was forced. I just thought the whole romance thing was forced, and it doesn't really help that that the movie kind of, okay. So how do I explain this? So Agnes, you know, one of the girls, she's happy that she's happy that she has a father, but she wants a mother too. And then at one point during their assignment, Gru and Lucy's assignment, Gru introduces Lucy to his girls. And Agnes was like, "Ooh, you can be the mommy," and then, she didn't say exactly that. She said something else, but yeah, but yeah, like that just further reinforces my point that the movie just wanted to put these two together without, and I'm just like, okay, you can do that, but you gotta have a build up for it. It's like you're kind of just forcing it to happen. Like, I'm not really fond of writers who just push two people together just because. Like, that, to me, that's just shitty writing. Like, you can't just ship two people together and call it a day. No, it doesn't work like that. Sorry, fam. It just doesn't. Just no. We get it. The writers want these two to be together. Even Agnes wanted these two to be together, but I don't care. You gotta have some sort of connection there first. You have to. Otherwise, it'll come off as forced. But anyway. Oh, Jack Black's supposed to be the voice of Bowser in the new Mario movie? Oh, okay. Cool. Now, what would have been fine... Now... Yeah, that's the thing, Maple. Exactly. That's a good point. Like, the whole, give the main character a love interest just because. Stop doing that. I am so tired of films doing that. I am so tired of that. I really am. Although, to be fair, like, not every film that does this is bad, because How to Train Your Dragon 3 did that, but it was for a good reason. It was for a good reason. Like, it was for a good reason. But here, Gru has a girlfriend... just because. Like, for one thing, he wasn't even feeling all that lonely beforehand. Like, maybe... See, that's the thing. Like, I would have been fine with Gru having a girlfriend, but it needed a better setup. Like, maybe have it... Like, the film could have made it so that Gru was, like, feeling lonely earlier. Like, in the film. Like, he just... Like, he's happy he has girls, but, you know, he just wants someone to share them with. That would have been fine. And having Gru start falling for Lucy earlier in the film would have been fine too. But there's no build up to any of it. So I'm just like, I just can't accept it. Sorry. Just no. Just no. Stop doing that. Stop shipping characters together and calling it a day. That's just such lazy writing. I can't stand lazy writing. I just can't. Stop doing that. It's so annoying. Like, just stop. Just stop doing that. Because literally, there are sequels that exist just to give characters love interests, and I'm like, why? If you're going to give a character love interest, do it for a good reason, like How to Train Your Dragon did. Like, come on. Like, come the fuck on. Like, come on. Like, seriously, this is such fanfiction level writing. It's cringe. It's cringe. Stop doing it. And yeah, the Ice Age sequels do suffer from that. In Ice Age 4, Diego's lonely, give him a girlfriend. In Ice Age 5, Sid's lonely, give him a girlfriend. Buck Wild, Buck's lonely, give him a girlfriend and adopted sons. Well, sort of, in principle. I'm just like, stop. Just stop. Stop doing that. Now, granted, in Ice Age 2 and 3, Manny had a girlfriend and then he started having a family. But, again, it was actually for a reason. Like, it was for story-related reasons. So I didn't mind it there. But in the other Ice Age movies, there was no reason to give these characters love interest. I just... Stop doing that. Stop it. Just stop it. Stop. It's annoying. Because, see, what happens is that you end up getting a low-quality film because that's literally the only thing the film is about. And everything else suffers. It's just cheap and lazy writing. Stop doing it. Just stop doing it. And even Open Season 3 did this. Boog needs something to do. Give him a girlfriend. Although, to be fair, I still kind of liked Open Season 3's story. But still, it's just something annoying to see. Like, stop it. Just stop it. Just stop doing that. It's annoying. Yeah, exactly, Thomas. I'm getting tired of that trope, too. Not that the trope itself is necessarily bad, it's just the execution of it that bothers me. If you're going to give your characters love interests, do it for a good reason. Not because, we need someone to fill out the whole set. No, shut up. Shut up with that mentality. Fuck right off with that mentality. Just fuck off with that. That's just fuck off with that. But rant over. I'm sorry, that just irritates me. Like, stop doing that. That's so annoying. Because you get a bunch of mediocre movies. I feel like Mulan 2 also suffers from this issue. Yeah, it definitely has this issue as well. I think that's part of the reason why people don't like Mulan 2, at least as much as Mulan 1. That's probably why. It's just so annoying. like you see this trend of movies giving characters love interests, and the stories just suffer because of it. Well, not for just that reason, but that ends up being a pretty big reason. But I digress. Basically, Gru and Lucy needed better reasons to fall in love. Because the way the movie did it, I was just like, no. no. I'm not even an expert when it comes to writing romance, but there's one important question that every romance story needs to answer. Why do these characters love each other? If you can't answer that, then you don't have a plot. Sorry. And this film did not answer that. If you can't answer that question, then just don't bother writing a romance plot. You're just wasting everyone's time. But anyway, another negative that I don't like about the movie, and one that I feel like it could have been easily avoided. Like, okay, so Dr. Nefario. Okay, so he was originally on... He was never against Gru, but he did leave Gru to go and work for another villain. Okay, fine, whatever. But his behavior in this story bothers me. So at first, he was willing to go along with El Macho's plan, but once El Macho started threatening Gru and his family and his girlfriend, he was like, oh no, now that guy's gone too far. I've got to help Gru stop all this mess. Nobody messes with my family. And I'm like, bitch, back the fuck up. Hold the fuck up. You just said, no one messes with my family. Okay, fine. So do the minions not count? Because you literally kidnapped them, some of them. You kidnapped some of them and injected them with that serum that turns them into monsters. Like... So, do the minions not count as family then? Like, I'm sorry, like, so you care about Gru and Lucy and the girls, but not about the minions? Because that's how his behavior comes off to me. Like, that just never made any sense to me. Like, why did you kidnap all these minions in the first place? And inject them with serum against their will? And you had worked with them for years, mind you. So... So why are you so willing to like, oh, let's just kidnap them and inject them with serum and turn them into monsters? Like, do you not care about the minions? And no, I don't care that he had an antidote and helped turn the minions back to normal. I don't care. The fact that he literally kidnapped them and then injected them with serum and didn't even consider them as part of his family. What kind of characterization is that? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, like, dude, like, I'm sorry, I just don't like his character in this film. It just made no fucking sense to me. Like, Groot turned into Vin Diesel, right? It's like, you don't turn your back on family. Sure, yeah, okay. And speaking of that, I'm going to remember that because I have a similar problem with Rise of Gru. I have a very similar problem with Rise of Gru, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, Dr. Nefario, his characterization is botched as hell. Oops. What am I typing? Sometimes I just type something that my mind doesn't even... That my mind, like, isn't even thinking. I don't know. Like, dude. And what also annoys me about this film is that Gru... Okay, so, at one point, as I said earlier in the Rantstream, at one point, Gru finds Dr. Macho's hideout under his restaurant, and Dr. Macho tells him about his whole plan, and reveals that his minions... That he kidnapped some of his... Gru's minions in order to turn them into monsters. And Gru, for some reason, doesn't react to this. He doesn't react to it. Like, he doesn't. Like, he gets disgusted by their appearance, but he literally does not react to the fact that this guy took his minions and turned them into monsters. He does not react to it at all. And I'm like, dude, do you guys not care about the minions? Like... Like, these guys are your family. They're loyal. Like, they're hardworking. They're silly and they screw up, but they mean well. And you, like, that's the attitude you have? Like, Gru outright does not, like, he doesn't act horrified, nor does he call out El Macho for what he did. No, he does not react to it at all. And I'm just like, holy shit. You guys don't care about these guys, do you? Holy shit. Like, damn. Okay. I guess we all know where their priorities lie. Like, holy shit. You don't turn your back on family. You shut the fuck up. You shut up with that. Shut up. Shut up with your cognitive dissonance self. Shut up. You say one thing, but you act another way. Just, no. Shut up with that. Just shut up with that. Yeah, you can see that I have mixed feelings on the second film. Like, because the writing is kind of a mess here. Oh my god. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm pissing off people who like the second film. I like it. Don't get me wrong, but it has issues. Oh my god. Okay. And they're not exactly minor issues. And another thing that this is a minor issue though. Another thing that I found really weird about the movie. It's not a huge issue, but so there was this whole subplot about Gru, you know, getting overprotective of Margot, finding the boy attractive, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah, okay, so at one point in the movie, that subplot gets dropped entirely. I'm not joking. It gets dropped entirely. Like, it just disappears. Like, the moment the moment El Macho becomes a target to Gru and his family, that whole subplot with Margot, having a love interest, it gets dropped. It just got dropped really fast. And I'm just like, what was the point of this? Like, I thought there was going to be some sort of conclusion to where Gru realizes that Margot's growing up and that it's okay to have her find love. But that doesn't happen. Like, she gets her heart broken because the boy finds another girl, and I mean, there's a satisfying scene of Gru freezing that guy for breaking Margot's heart, but that's it. That's literally it. Like, this part's never touched on again. Margot doesn't, like, get any sort of conclusion from it. It doesn't happen. It gets dropped immediately. And I'm just like, what was the point of this subplot? Like, what was the point of it? Honestly, I feel like the subplot could have just been taken out of the film because it barely has any presence in the plot. Well, like it kind of did influence Gru's behavior because at one point he was insisting that someone else, that El Macho, had stolen the serum, but he did that only because he just didn't want El Macho's son to date Margot. So that subplot was a little important, but then it gets dropped like near the end of the film, and I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. It's okay. Sure. like, like, what was the point? It's funny that Continental Drift. I feel like Continental Drift, the Ice Age movie Continental Drift, did this better. Did this subplot better. Where it's like Manny originally didn't like Peaches hanging out with other boys, but then he's like, you know what, she's a grown girl. She can do what she wants. It's okay. Like that subplot was handled in that movie better, but here it's just like it's dropped and never brought up again. like why? I don't know. It's just like oh my god, the second movie is kind of a mess, but it's still enjoyable. It's still enjoyable. It just has a few issues, but yeah, let me type that in. So, yeah. I think those are all the negatives I can think of. I can't think of any other negatives. I'm trying to think of other negatives, but I can't think of any. I think I touched on all of them. And overall they weren't exactly minor issues either. Like these kind of affected the plot quite a bit. I'm sorry. I just like if I see something like this, I have a need to go and tear into it. I'm sorry. I just do. Like, but yeah, I think those are all the negatives. Those are all the negatives I can think of. I'm now being reminded of all those Vin Diesel family memes. I don't blame you. Okay, Despicable Me 3. I think it's a bit better than the second film, if I'm going to be honest, but I still think the first is better than the other two. But to me, this is definitely better than number 2. Despicable Me 2 was enjoyable, but it had a few writing issues. Anyway, let me go back to the synopsis here. Okay, so at the beginning of the film, Gru and Lucy are hunting down this villain. I forgot what his name was. Evil Brat, Dr. Brat, I can't remember. But I forgot what his name was. Oh, Balthazar Brat. Yeah, Balthazar Brat. So Balthazar Brat. I'll just call him Brat. Fitting last name, by the way. Anyway, Brat. So he's the new villain of he's a new villain of the movie, and Gru and Lucy at the beginning are trying to hunt him down. They fail to catch him, but they manage to get the diamond that he stole. Oh, and Brat also has this invention. It's bubblegum, but it inflates to it inflates to a huge degree. Like it's just they're basically bubblegum balloons. So he throws one and then it just inflates to a huge degree. Even and these can get pretty big. Like they can even be the size of cities. So, but anyway, he uses that invention and other inventions of his to steal a diamond. Gru and Lucy they get the diamond, but Brad escapes. and the and also, oh yeah, the anti-villain league, there's this new boss, um and she fires Gru for failing to catch the villain. Lucy tries to defend Gru, she gets fired too. So the two are now without a job. And so things are looking bad for them. Oh, but Gru, so some man comes up to Gru and then tells him that he has a long lost brother named Drew, which Gru's mother confirms when he goes and asks her. And so Drew invites Gru to his house. Gru and his family go over there with the butler, and Drew and Drew, they meet for the first time. They were separated at birth, or shortly after birth, because their parents divorced, and their parents had divorced, and so they both decided to they each took a child, and Gru's mother took Gru, obviously, and Drew's dad took Drew, whatever, and yeah, they meet, and they're both identical twins, but Drew has golden hair, and he has a similar voice to Gru, but it's higher pitched. And yeah, obviously they're both voiced by the same person. And so Gru shows Drew around the whole house while Gru's family enjoys the sights of the city or whatever. And Drew shows Gru a secret area in his house that has a lot of villain weaponry. And he also shows Gru that the family has had a history of villainy. But he's happy now because Gru he had heard about Gru's villainous adventures, and he was like, oh cool, now you can teach me to be a villain. But Gru had already left that life behind, so he was like no, which disappointed Drew. But then, let's see, what else happens? I'm trying to remember. But then, after doing some thinking, Gru decides to teach Drew about how to be a villain. But really, Gru's really not actually going to become a villain again. He's actually trying to steal the diamond back from the villain Brat. Oh yeah, the villain Brat stole the diamond back because he was pretending to be a jewel inspector, and he knocked out all the personnel of the facility and took the diamond or whatever. And so Gru and Drew try to break into Brat's factory, compound, whatever. So they manage to sneak in, but Drew keeps fucking up, and they get caught, but they manage to escape with the diamond, but then they nearly fall to their deaths because the compound was surrounded by spikes, and let's see. Oh yeah, but then they get rescued by Lucy, or so we think, but it turns out that was actually Brat in disguise. And the real Lucy had been tied up by Brat, and Brat went and took the girls with him on his ship. So Gru unties Lucy and goes after Brat with Lucy and his brother Drew, because he needed Drew's help, because Drew had vehicles and weaponry that they could use. So then there's this battle where Gru, Drew, and Lucy face off against the Brat's large robot, who shoots bubblegum everywhere, and then it inflates, and then in the meantime, Brat tries to like use a laser around the city in order to like make it float into space, which is stupid, but whatever. It's a Despicable Me movie. And but yeah, Gru and Drew try to stop Brat while Lucy tries to save the girls. At one point, Brat like leaves the girls at the top of a building. Lucy goes after them and saves them. And then Gru and Drew actually manage to take down Brat. Yeah, Drew actually becomes competent here. And even saves Gru from getting blasted by the robot's laser. So yeah. And then once the robot's destroyed, Brat tries to fight Gru but fails and gets carried away by his own invention. Like he gets trapped in a gum bubble and then floats away towards the police who come storming in the scene with helicopters. And so yeah, like, so the day's saved, yay. But then Drew decides to, and then everyone's back at Gru's house. Drew's visiting at the moment. But then Drew decides to like sneak out with some of the minions, or all of them. I don't know how many, but he sneaks out with at least some of them. And then Gru's like, hey, I thought we agreed that there was no villainy. Like, yeah, you should not, that there wasn't going to be any villainy. But Gru's like, sorry, brother, someone has to keep the tradition alive, so... The family tradition, I mean. So, Gru just takes off with Gru's ship and with some of the minions. And then Lucy and Gru go after him. So, yeah. So, Drew decides to become a villain. But, yeah, that's how the movie ends. The main villain was stopped. So, at least there was that. I do remember 3 being slightly better than 2, but that's not saying much at all. You're not wrong. Because honestly, the first one is the best one out of all of them. I'm sorry, but it is. You just finished watching your regular DVD copy of Despicable Me 3? Okay, cool. This is the one that I remember the least for this franchise. Surprisingly, the weird thing is that when I watched this, before I watched Despicable Me 3 on Blu-ray, in the past I actually watched the movie already, like in theaters. When it came out in theaters, I watched it. But surprisingly, I could not remember most of the film's events until I started watching the movie again. I was like, how did I not remember any of this? And then I was like, oh yeah, Gru had a brother, and oh yeah, there's this guy who uses bubblegum as a weapon. Oh yeah, I remember that. Hey, Blue Wolf, what is up? I was wondering where you were. Where have you been? But yeah. So, Despicable Me 3. Positives? Well, the story is definitely better than the original. I will give it that. What was it? I mean, not the original, I'm sorry, the second one. The story's better than the second one. I think the original has the best story, but the one here is a step up from the second one. So, yeah. The story is better than that of the second film. It was a decent story. I've been in the shadows. Mwahahaha. So, like, Blaze the Cat? No, I'm kidding. Blaze the Cat's she's invisible. See, she's not in the shadows. She's just invisible. Like, literally no one can see her. Except Silver. Anyway. Wait, who was I talking about? Ah, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Despicable Me 3. So. So, yeah. Let's see, what else? The animation. The animation is great. Like, really, all the movies have good animation. All of them. All of them do. Yeah, it's definitely... In fact, I think the animation might be a bit better here than in the... I think it might be a bit higher quality than in the first two films. along with the Minions movie, but I'll get to Minions later. Holy shit, she remembered her name. Whose name? No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. It's just so much fun dragging that girl for filth. I'm sorry. It's just so much fun making fun of her. Blue Wolf's like, who? I mean, I don't know. But, but anyway. But yeah, the animation is definitely really good here. Let's see. The voice acting was good, but I mean, it's oh shit. The voice acting was good. It was good. It was good. Es war gut. It was good. The voice acting was good. So, yeah, really, performances were solid all around. I liked the villain's voice. It was the right mix of brattiness and sassiness. I actually liked the villain. Definitely more interesting than the one in the second film. And better than the one in the first film, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah, this Despicable Me 3 had a better villain than Despicable Me 1 did. I'm not going to lie. Like, he actually felt like a huge threat. The second one, nuts. The second movie's villain, kind of. He kind of had that, kind of didn't. As the first one was just a joke. He was just a joke. He was funny, sort of, but he was just a joke. But yeah, I think the third movie has the best villain. But that's just me. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to think of what else I can say. The humor was good. That's par for the course, but anyway, the humor was good. There are definitely moments that will make you laugh. I'm trying to think of, let's see. I actually like the characters here. I'm not going to lie. They're definitely a step up from 2. The characters were nice. I liked Drew. I liked the villain. I liked them. Lucy's still cool in this film. Really. Like, definitely a better cast of characters than the second film. Let's see. What else? I like I already said the story was good, so let me not. Let's see. Oh, there are definitely some good action scenes. There are plenty of good action scenes. It's a Despicable Me movie. Of course there are going to be action scenes. Definitely. Anything else? Oh, let's see. Soundtrack. I like the soundtrack. It's not. I don't think this movie has the best soundtrack, but the soundtrack was good nonetheless. Or maybe it does. Honestly, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of hard for me to remember like soundtracks in general. But I think all the movies have good soundtracks. For whatever reason, I just can't remember the songs. But when I do hear them, I think the selections are generally good. So, but yeah, Definitely more positives than the second film. Yeah, so yeah, Despicable Me, overall a solid film. Not as good as the first, but definitely better than the second. Negatives. Negatives. Oh yeah, by the way, Doctor Nefario, remember him? The guy ripped, the guy I tore into in the second film. Uh, he actually he appears in the third film, but apparently he had been frozen uh by one of his inventions or whatever. That was some sort of accident, and he was encased in he'd been encased in a thick layer of ice or whatever, so he was frozen. So he appears in this movie, but he doesn't do anything because he can't do anything, which I'm fine with. Honestly, there really wasn't much they could have done with him, so just whatever. Negatives. Are there negatives? I'm trying to think. I thought I had one. I'm trying to remember. I am trying to remember. Let's see. Damn. I'm trying to remember. Hmm. Shit. Huh. Hmm. Oh, actually, I do. I can think of one. Okay, so apparently there's a subplot. There's a subplot of the minions. So they basically pull a Doctor Nefario in that they complain to Gru that they miss the old life they had, being a villain. They don't like this whole home family life shit anymore. But Gru's like, come on, guys, things are better here. And then the minions are like, no, we quit, fam. And so they quit, and then they literally just leave the house and then just go. They literally just go away. They just travel to other places. Like they travel through the neighborhood or whatever, and then somehow they end up finding themselves. Then they into the city at one point, and then they find themselves on this TV show that's basically America's Got Talent or whatever, and but they had gotten there. They were there because like they earlier they were being chased by by police officers because I can't remember what the exact reason was, but or security officers or whatever. And so they appeared on the stage by complete accident. So they were like they started singing, and they had a standing ovation, and then security officers stormed the scene, but for some reason the applause doesn't stop for like you'd think that people in the audience would like stop and gasp and wonder what's going on and why the minions are why there are police officers storming the minions. But it's whatever. I don't know. It's like it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the police officers show up on the stage. Minions get captured and then get thrown in jail. But then they end up owning the jail. Like they literally make everyone in the jail their bitches. So they become complete badasses. Well, for this movie's standards anyway. But then I think the leader, whatever his name was, Mel, he ended up missing Gru. And then apparently the other minions felt the same way, so they all decided to just leave. So they leave, and like they make this makeshift plane, or like they have this makeshift plane, so they leave. Although for some reason they leave one of the minions behind the prison because he was like trying to like direct the plane out of the area. Like how those like how those airport personnel do, like with those light cones or whatever. But anyway, so they're in the air flying, and then Gru and Gru like and Lucy and Drew fly past them, and then Gru and Mel notice each other, and then Mel turns back around to chase after Gru, and then the minions actually they do end up helping in the final battle against the villain. Like they're trying to pop the gum bubbles that keep expanding, but that stuff's pretty tough. Fortunately, they do eventually manage to pop it, and so yeah, and so the gum deflates, and yeah, so they did help in the end, even though it was a little bit. But then, like for some reason, after the story literally just established that Mel and the other minions miss Gru, some of them actually, I don't even know if it's all of them, but some of them go with Drew and then start becoming villains again. I'm just like, did you guys, I thought you guys missed Gru, and now you want to go back to being villains? What? Like what? Am I missing something here? What? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, guys, I thought you missed Gru, and now some of you, at least some of you, I don't know if it's all of you, but at least some of you want to go back to being villains again? Didn't the story just establish that they missed Gru? Like, I don't know. Like, honestly, the minions, they made for a nice, entertaining subplot, but their characterization's kind of fucked, if I'm going to be honest. So it's kind of like a similar issue with Dr. Nefario in the second film. I don't know. Gru needs to pick better family members, if I'm going to be honest. Better friends or whatever. I don't know. But basically, my complaint about the movie is this. Do the minions miss Gru or not? Because the plot doesn't make that clear. And if you don't make it clear, I have no reason to care. I'm sorry, I just don't. I need to, hold up, I'll be right back. I need to change into shorts because it's getting hot in here. It is getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. I am getting so hot, I want to take my clothes off. Just a little bit of, just a little, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'll stop singing. Okay, that's better. Hey, copyright. Texas heat hitting different, right? But thankfully, we have rain now. We like, it's actually been raining for the last few days, and I'm like, thank God, because I was getting tired of this heat. But yeah, the minions, their characterization is like kind of botched. It's like they miss Gru, but then they're willing to like go with Drew and become villains again. And it's hard to tell whether it was just some of the minions or all of them. The movie doesn't make it clear. But either way, like, I'm like, I thought you guys missed Gru, and now you want to go back and be villains? It's like, pick a fucking motivation and stick to it! God damn! I think that's like, I'm trying to think if there are any other complaints I had with the film. I think that's just the only one, but I feel like there might be more. But hold on, let me see. I don't know. Like, one of the most annoying things that I see in writing is just inconsistent characterization. Like when a writer makes a character oscillate between two extremes, and it's just like, pick a fucking motivation and stick to it. If you can't keep your characters consistent, don't fucking write them, and you're just wasting everyone's time. Just stop. That just really annoys me. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if there are... This film was actually quite successful, I think. But anyway, Let's see. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention regarding the plot. So Drew, like, he actually lives in a in a very big mansion. He has a lot of wealth. Um, from his father. But he supposedly runs a pig farm, but that's actually a cover for the whole villainy thing that he wanted to get into. Hence the stuff in the basement. I forgot to mention that detail. But anyway, let me see here. Oh. Oh, yeah, okay, so okay, so actually I'm not even sure if I agree with this review. Like there's this one review that complains that the movie has quite a number of plot threads, which is true. Like, for one thing, Lucy tries to be a good mom. Uh, Agnes tries to find a unicorn. I agree that that was a waste of a plot. Actually, that plot could have just been cut out entirely. I didn't mind it, but it didn't really add anything to the plot. I feel like I feel like the reason that they put that plot in there was just to give Agnes something to do, as well as Edith, because Edith was part of it. But she was like, but she didn't even believe in unicorns. She was only there with Agnes just because or whatever. And yeah, this film actually does have quite a number of subplots. So I will, but like, yeah, the whole Agnes finding a unicorn. Okay, sorry about that. Can you all hear me now? Um, you guys, like, you can hear me, right? Just making sure. I think you can, but I'm not entirely sure. Let me just check something. Oh, yeah, you guys can. Don't worry. Okay. So, as I was saying, um, before I was so rudely interrupted by my bitch ass computer. Fuck this thing, honestly. So yeah, the film could have reduced the number of subplots. Like, there were a number of subplots here that could have just been taken out. Like the whole subplot with Agnes finding the unicorn. I didn't mind it, but yeah, it could have been taken out of the movie. Like, it didn't really serve a purpose, honestly. I felt like what would have been better was to have Agnes and Edith, like, they should have been more involved with the subplot of Lucy trying to be a good mom to all the girls. To Margot especially, since she interacts mostly with Margot, but in this film, I mean. But like, yeah, like the whole fighting the unicorn subplot, that really didn't need to be there. And the whole subplot with the minions being in jail, honestly, as I found that subplot interesting, but again, it didn't serve any purpose in the film. It honestly didn't, because the minions were honestly just they were kind of just there. They didn't really have much of a purpose in the plot. They were just kind of there. Yeah, I get it. Like, they wanted to leave Group, but honestly, I just feel like they could have been used in the plot a bit more. Because for the most part, they just don't really matter. Like, they could have been a bigger part of the final battle. Because in the first two movies, they were quite important, and they were even quite instrumental in the final battles. But here, they barely do anything in the final battle. Like, they needed a better, I think they could have been included a bit more in the main plot, but I don't know. That's just me. So yeah, the number of subplots could have been reduced, basically. Is there anything else I can complain about? Let's see. I was on IMDb before I was taken off, but let's see. I don't know. I think I just covered about everything. Yeah, I can't think of any of the negatives, but yeah, like really, like if the number of subplots had been reduced, we could have had a better film. Like just have, there really could have just been two subplots: Gru and Drew trying to steal, uh, the diamond from Brat, and Lucy trying to be a good role model to the girls. It could have just been those two subplots. That would have been a lot better, because the whole Lucy trying to be a good mom subplot, that honestly, that doesn't really, that could have been focused on more, but it's not focused on that much in the film. It could have been some interesting character development for Lucy, but we kind of didn't get that, unfortunately. But I guess that's all I can say. I mean, there aren't that many negatives for this movie. Again, it's better than the second one, but like, but it could have been better. Anyway, I guess that's all I can say about the third movie. Better than the second, still enjoyable, but not as good as the first. Okay, now let's continue on to the Minions movie. The Minions movie. Yes, the Minions have their own movie. Oh, I hit the mic, sorry. I think I hit the mic. The Minions have their own movie. Well, I actually kind of already want to stop. Because there's not much I'm going to say about the Minions movie or Rise of Gru. Although I do have quite a bit of things to say about Rise of Gru. I'm not going to lie. But anyway. Let's talk about the Minions movie. Okay, so, the Minions. So, basically, the Minions, they're this species that's race, whatever, that's been around since basically the dawn of time, with dinosaurs, cavemen, whatever. And it is in their psychology to want to serve a master. So so throughout history, they looked for masters but failed. And eventually in the modern day, or whatever, I don't know, the timeline in this movie is weird. They decide to, a few of them decide to leave their home in the Arctic or whatever, I don't know, some snowy area. These three minions, Bob, Kevin, and Stuart, they go out and look for a new master, and they find one. Her name is Scarlet Overkill, and she is the best villain around. They go to a villain convention to see her, with the help of this family who's also going there. Like, the Minions hitched a ride or whatever from this family, who seemingly looks normal, but they're actually all criminals. They're bank robbers. But yeah, like, they give the Minions a ride to the convention, and the Minions get to see Scarlet Overkill along with every other person who attended the convention. They got to see Scarlet Overkill, and after winning this contest by pretty much sheer luck, the Minions actually get to be minions of Scarlet Overkill. So Scarlet Overkill takes them to her base, and on the way there, Kevin tells the other minions in the Arctic the good news that they found a master for the minions. And at the time, the minions were serving abominable snowmen, but the minions, they have a tendency to screw up, so they pissed them off. They've been pissing off all their masters really throughout history. They pissed off all their masters, but yeah. So the other minions start heading for England, while running away from the abominable snowmen that they pissed off because they accidentally killed one of them. And Kevin, Bob, and Stuart, they get to go to Scarlet's lair. Scarlet instructs them to steal a crown. They go and do it. Oh, and Scarlet, she threatens them, not directly. She indirectly threatens them. She indirectly threatens them with violence if they fail to get the crown for her. It's like she uses a bedtime story to make that clear or whatever. You'd have to watch the scene to understand what I'm talking about. But anyway, the minions go and try to get the crown. At first, and there's this big chase sequence, it's
and like where they get the crown, but then they get chased by a bunch of policemen in England, and then they arrive in this courtyard or whatever, this park, I mean, and Bob, the youngest minion, pulls out the sword from, like, there's this area where there's a sword stuck in a rock, like the whole King Arthur legend thing. Bob pulls that sword out of the rock, and then he gets crowned king as a result. Like, he gets the crown as a result. The city awards him with the crown, and they make him king because plot. I don't know. But oh, hi, Cheesecake. But Bob becomes king. Scarlet doesn't like this because she wanted to get the crown. So she goes to the minions directly and demands to have the crown back. They give it to her, and she's seemingly happy. But then she traps the minions because she's pissed that they didn't give the crown to her right away or whatever. Because from her point of view, it looks like they stole the crown. I guess I can understand that, but I still have issues with that. But I'll get to that later. I'll get to those later. But so she traps the minions in the basement. They escape, and then they try to stop her from being crowned queen. But then they accidentally nearly crush her with the chandelier, and she goes after them, and she sends all the other villains in the area who attended the coronation, because Scarlet was going to be queen. Like, they all send the villains. She sends all the villains after them. They manage to get 2 of the minions, but not Kevin. And Kevin runs back to Scarlet's lair to see if she can find something there to help stop Scarlet. But then he accidentally turns on one of her inventions that increases a person's size massively. So he turns into a giant, and then he uses his newfound size to take down Scarlet, and succeeds. Oh, and the other minions, all the other minions show up, and and Kevin saves Stuart and Bob, but yeah, the other minions show up, and then all the other minions show up, and then Scarlet Scarlet tries to kill Kevin with a missile, but Kevin redirects. Kevin uses it against her, and there's this explosion. Oh yeah, and Scarlet had a husband. I forgot to mention that. And then there was this explosion, and then seemingly Kevin died, but no, he actually survived. And so the Queen of England thanked the minions for getting back her crown, but then Scarlet returns. She survived the explosion too, along with her husband. They took the crown, and then they ran off to. Then they ran off. They ran away from the area. They tried to get out of the area, but then young Gru shows up and freezes Scarlet and her husband, and then takes the crown for himself. And then the minions get impressed, and then they follow Gru, and that's how Gru got to meet the minions. Although they don't officially become his minions in this movie. They just follow him home. And then, but in Rise of Gru, there's a flashback there that shows the minions trying to work for Gru. But yeah, that's how the movie ends. They got their own movie and it somehow made over $1 billion. Somehow. Like, how did they make over $1 billion? What? The hell? What? How? It was the 5th highest grossing film of 2015, the 10th highest grossing film of all time, and the 2nd highest grossing animated film of all time. How? And it became the 3rd animated film to pass the 1 billion mark after Toy Story 3 and Frozen. How? Just how? How was this movie so successful? It's not. It's good, but it's not. Honestly, it's. I think it's not the. I think it's actually probably. I mean, I think it's better than the second film, but not as good as 1 or 3, or Rise of Gru. Like how? I don't even think this movie is good, but I don't think it's great. Like how did they get? How the hell did it? Like how the hell did it get that much at the box office? I don't know. Yeah, surprisingly, the film made at least $1 billion, but yet it has an approval rating of 55 on Rotten Tomatoes, 55%. I mean. So yeah, because the world loves those walking, talking corn puffs so much. Yep. Apparently, I don't understand it myself, Maple, and I'm sorry you have to literally see them all the time at work. Yes, I'm gonna keep calling them that. That's basically what they are, corn puffs. Like, no joke, they're so fucking huge in terms of popularity that they eclipse all the main characters of the Despicable Me series. Like they get more attention than Gru, more attention than Lucy, more attention than any of the villains, more attention than the girls that were adopted. They get more attention than all of them. I don't know how. I don't know. People are just weird. The theatrical release poster is just really dumb. Like, no joke, it's just an image of the minions with their backs turned and their clothes hanging on a clothesline, and they're literally butt naked, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Okay, so like the film isn't even all that great, and yet it made so much at the box office. How? Just how? How? Just how? Well, I don't know. Positives. Well, the animation is really good. I love the animation. It's probably the best that the movies have looked. Yeah, it was honestly pretty good. The animation is actually very, very good. I love it. Very, very good. Okay, let's see, what else? The humor was decent. There were some funny moments here and there. Also, it was released during the summer, and it's a perfect movie for kids. That's true. And the funny thing is that they're basically the rabbits from the Raymond series. and the rabbits are also pretty popular. So Illumination was like, let's do that. Although I don't even know which one came first. Which one came first, the Minions or the Rabbids? I think the Rabbids came first, but I'm not even sure, honestly. Or at least a perfect movie for their parents to take their young kids to. Yeah, or for their kids to watch while the parents are doing other things. It's like, here, watch this and stop bothering me. Thank God. But yeah, the humor was decent. In fact, I actually say good. There were actually some moments that made me laugh. Like the family that seemed normal but were actually bank robbers. They were funny, and they even had their own short. They even had, yeah, like if you have the DVD, that family actually has its own short. Although it stars mostly the baby, who breaks into a museum because he left his pacifier there. But yeah, so I like the animation, the humor. The story. I have a few issues with it, but I'll get to that later. Okay. Let's see. The voice acting. It was fine. The voice acting was fine. I mean, really, the Minions don't speak any, like, they barely speak English. Like, they speak their own language, which is some weird mix of Spanish, some weird gibberish that's like Spanish, Italian, Japanese, like just a mix of multiple languages. Which I think only Gru can understand. Like, he even has an English Minionese dictionary in the third film. But yeah, but like the villain had a good voice actor. I think she was voiced by Sandra Bullock, right? I think that's how you pronounce her name. Bullock, but I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But yeah, she voiced the villain Scarlet Overkill. I don't know who voiced her husband though, nor do I care. But yeah, like everyone's voice acting was fine. Gru's voice acting was fine. The Scarlet's voice acting was fine. Her husband's voice acting was fine. The villains were fine. Everyone was fine, really. Okay, so what else? Okay, think it, She-Men. I guess I actually like the characters for the most part. The characters were generally likable in my opinion. I actually like the characters. The only one that I don't like is Scarlet, but everyone else I liked. Yeah, I don't like the main villain. Sorry, I don't like her. But almost everyone else I either tolerated or liked. So I thought the characters were fine. They were funny or otherwise just serviceable. Anything else? Let me see. The soundtrack was good. Oh shit. The soundtrack was good. I'd say the soundtrack was good. Like, there's really not much I can comment on. Like, it was good, but I don't remember like specific pieces. I just know that the soundtrack was overall fitting for the film. Let's see. I already talked about the animation. Okay. Oh, right. The action scenes. I actually like the action scenes in this film. Yeah, this film has action scenes, and they're pretty good. Not as many as the first three films, but it has a decent number of action scenes. I particularly like the one that involved the family robbing the bank. That one was pretty fun. As well as the fight between Giant Kevin and Scarlet Overkill. Now that one was pretty cool too. And I also like the chase sequence with the minions running away from all the villains that Scarlet sent after them. And I also like the chase sequence with the minions and the English policeman, because the minions had stolen the crown. So yeah, I'd say the action scenes were good. But I think that's all I can say about this movie. Negatives. Okay. Negatives. Let me think. Okay, hold on, give me one moment here. I guess I could say that the plot is barely there. There's really not much of a plot. The minions are just trying to find the master. And that's it. Like, they find a master. They look for a master. After a while, after like many years, they find one. But she ends up turning on them. They basically defeat her. And get the Queen of England her crown back. Sorry. And then they go and look for a new master. It's like they're right from where they last were. Like it's like, that's the thing. This plot just feels very. It feels very basic, almost non-existent. Like, there's a plot, but it's just so bare bones. Like, really, this film is more about comedy than an actual plot. Let me just put that down as a negative. The plot is very bare bones, and let me put was. The plot was very bare bones and more comedy oriented. Oops. That's how I feel. Like there really wasn't much of a story. Even The Rise of Gru had more of a story than this film did. Like, that's the thing. It's just a very bare bones plot. Like, it's good for laughs, but that's really all it is. It's just a laugh fest. I'm just reading this review really fast. Um, I guess another issue. Perhaps another issue with the Minions film was probably the pacing. Because really, like, there's a segment where they go to New York City, but honestly, that part of the film had almost no importance to the plot and could have just been cut out. Like, the only thing that was important about it was that at the end of that section, the Minions find out about this thing called villain, this event called that was a villain convention. Really, I feel like that scene with them in New York City could have just been cut out. So yeah. Oh, what the hell? Oh, never mind. So yeah, the pacing could have been better. I don't think there's not like there's like it, like there's not there aren't a lot of negatives here, but this movie could have been a bit better. I think those are all the negatives I can think of. Like, it's really just the pacing that could have been improved a bit, as well as the plot, because the plot is barely there. It's really just there. Which I honestly wasn't, which I'm honestly not too surprised about. I wasn't surprised about it because because um like I mean, if you're gonna make a movie about these guys, about comic relief characters, I mean, you're not gonna be able to make much of a movie out of that. You just aren't. You just aren't. I'm sorry. You're just not gonna make much of a movie out of them. Maybe a series, maybe a TV series, but not a movie. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't think it will happen. Then again, Disney did have this one movie about Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, so I guess it can work. But but like it has to have good writing. And the Tigger movie, I thought it had good writing, but Minions movie, not so much. Sorry. I think that's all I can say about the movie, really. I can't think of anything else. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. So, Minions lacks plot and has a bit of pacing issues, but overall, an enjoyable film. I did like the film. It's silly, mindless entertainment, but some people are fine with that. The plot isn't exactly very deep. It's pretty shallow, actually, but it works. It works barely, but it works. It's a serviceable plot. But now let's get on to Rise of Gru. Rise of Gru. Minions, The Rise of Gru. I think that's the official name for it. Let me check really fast. Yeah, I'm sorry, it should be The Rise of Gru, but whatever. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take a bit of a break. Like a 5 or 10 minute break. Because it's kind of hard to talk like this for, like, just for hours straight, so let me take a bit of a break. I'll be right back.
Okay. Alright, I'm back. So now, let's talk about Minions: The Rise of Gru. So this is Gru's origin story, basically. And Gru wants to be... So, Gru wants to be a villain. And he looks up to this... group of villains called the Vicious Six. I don't remember their names. Like, he's really big fans of them, and he puts in an application to meet them, and he gets an interview. But just before that, like, the Vicious Six were quite a good team, but then they went and literally booted out their leader. Like, they just betrayed him. And so they're looking for a new person to fill the ranks. And the Gru goes to his interview. Like, they're not impressed with him. He tries to steal something from them to impress them, but that ends up getting him in trouble. And so there's this big chase sequence between them and Gru. Gru manages to get away, but then one of his minions loses the thing that he stole from them, which is a powerful artifact that let them transform into monsters or whatever. I can't remember. Something like that. And so Gru has to go and find that artifact, but along the way, he gets captured by the guy who was booted out of the group, named White Knuckle, I think? White Knuckles? I don't fucking remember. Let me look really fast. And yeah, so White Knuckles, I think that's his name. Oh, Wild Knuckles, not White Knuckles, Wild Knuckles. Okay, so Wild Knuckles kidnaps Gru, and then asks him where the artifact is. Gru doesn't have it, so the Wild Knuckles threatens Gru's minions with Gru's life. Like, if he doesn't come back within, if they don't come back with the stone or whatever within the artifact within 48 hours, then Gru will be killed. So through the minions from the previous movie, Minions, these characters being Kevin, Stewart, and Bob, they leave for San Francisco to go rescue Gru. And there's a fourth one in this movie now, a fourth minion, named Otto. He's fat and round and very talkative and annoying. And he was the one who lost the artifact, by the way. So he goes and looks for the stone, whatever it is, and then finds that he goes back to the guy. See, what had happened was that Otto had given that he had given the artifact away. He traded it away for a pet rock. So he went back to the person he traded it with, and then the person said that his uncle had the stone. So Otto chases after that guy, eventually catches up to him. They both have fun, and then the guy returns the artifact to Otto. And then Otto manages to end up in the same place as Gru. He reunites with Gru. And then, but the Vicious Six have them cornered. And then, but the Anti-Villain League shows up to take down the villains, but then the Vicious Six use the stone to turn themselves into superpowered versions of animals. And then they grab Gru and then tie him up to a clock tower in order to rip him apart. Like they tied him up to the minute hand, the second hand of the clock, and then
or what was it, the minute hand and the hour hand? Well, it doesn't matter. They tie him up to the clock, and then those hands start separating, and then but one of the minions manages to rescue Gru. I think Otto saves Gru, whereas the other three minions, Kevin, Seward, and Bob, they take on the villains who are transformed and actually manage to defeat the villains. Because earlier they learned Kung Fu from this one elderly lady in order to be able to rescue Gru. And earlier they were chased by a bunch of criminals, but the old lady came by and kicked their butts and saved the minions. And the minions are like, "Oh, you can teach us how to fight." But they fail. But surprisingly, like in the final battle, they actually do put what the teacher taught them to good use. And I was like, okay, wow, so they're kicking butt. Oh yeah, and Wild Knuckles is there too, and he tries to take the stone away from the villains and succeeds, but gets badly burned. And then Gru uses the stone to turn the Vicious Six into rats and the three minions back to normal. And the Vicious Six are arrested. Knuckles is also arrested, but he gets taken to a hospital because of his injuries. Seemingly he dies because there's a funeral for him at the end of the movie, and Gru gives a heartfelt eulogy, but then he sees Wild Knuckles in the distance, and he's like, "Oh, you faked your death," but he kept that fact to himself, of course. And so he leaves the funeral along with his minions, and then he meets up with Wild Knuckles, and then and then they drive off together with the minions. Oh yeah, and Dr. Nefario also makes an appearance here, a younger version, obviously. Gru hires him. There's a post-credit scene where Gru hires him at the end of the movie. So there's that. Oh yeah, and there's also this subplot where Wild Knuckles and wait, hold on. I'm trying to find this. Oh yeah. So there's actually this subplot where Gru and Knuckles bond with each other. Like at first Knuckles is antagonistic towards Gru, but then bonds with him like a father. And in the end they team up with each other to take out the Vicious Six. Oh yeah, and Gru saved Knuckles from being eaten alive by crocodiles in his own pool. So because apparently Knuckles had crocodiles in his pool for some reason. I don't know, like I can't remember what the reason was, but Gru saved him, and yeah, and then they started bonding with each other after that. But later his house gets destroyed by the Vicious Five technically, and Knuckles gets really sad and decides to give a villainy and sends Gru away. But then he just turns around later and then helps Gru defeat the Vicious Six or whatever. So yeah, that's the movie. So it's basically an origin story for Gru, where he goes from just being a plucky kid to a villain. So yeah, positives. Okay, well, for one thing, I like the humor. The humor was actually quite good. Even better than the humor from the first Minions movie. This movie will definitely make you laugh. Um, the animation was very good. Def, like, it's definitely one of the best looking movies of Despicable Me. Of the series, it's definitely good. All the animation, like really, the animation for every movie is good, but this one in particular is probably the best looking so far. Um. Okay, what else? The characters, no. Like, really, I mean, while Knuckles was an interesting character, that's really the only good thing I can say about him, about the characters as a whole, because and Gru himself was fine, but the Vicious Six were boring though. But I'll get to that later. But Wild Knuckles was an interesting character because he was basically a mentor to Gru. Oh yeah, and there's even a moment where there's even one moment in the movie where Gru and Knuckles work together to steal from the Bank of Evil. So yeah, quite a bit of bonding moments between those two. That was actually an interesting relationship. So Wild Knuckles was definitely an interesting character, and I liked his bond with Gru. Okay, let's see. What else? The soundtrack was good. Not again, same with any other Despicable Me film. No ill-fitting music. Not any that I can think of. I don't know. Sorry, I was gonna say something, but I cut myself off. Uh, hmm. The story. The story's a mixed bag. I'll get to that later. Oh look, Honest Trailers released a video for Minions: The Rise of Gru. I ought to watch that. Okay. Let me go back and look. It's embarrassing. Let's see. No. All right. We gotta talk about the voice acting and action scenes. Oh shoot, my bad. Okay. The voice acting was fine. It was good. It was good. Like, there's not much I can say. Like, really, all the characters, generally they did pretty well. I can't name a bad performance. These movies are known, well, to me, they're known for having good voice acting. Of course, I'm not saying that every performance is perfect, but they're generally good. So I can't really think of any bad performances here. See, I don't have much to say about these movies, really. Uh, hmm. And of course, the action scenes. The action scenes were actually very good. They were great. I loved them. I loved them. From the old lady kicking the criminals' butts to the final fight with the minions fighting the Vicious Six. and to that chase sequence with Gru running away from the villains, the Vicious Six. I mean, like really, plenty of good action scenes. And of course, I like the training montage of the minions learning kung fu or whatever. That was funny. So, and it was entertaining. And apparently, the youngest one is he can barely survive things that are dropped on his head, like safes or cannonballs or anything. And I'm just like, how? But, whatever. Um... Anything else? I think that's it. I think those are all the positives I can think of. I'm sorry if I sound tired. I'm trying not to rush this, but I'm honestly getting tired. But really, there's not much I can say about these films anyway, so... Yeah. Negatives. Well, overall, the movie... Before I talk about the negatives, overall, the movie has quite a number of positives. I actually liked it quite a bit, even more than the first Minions movie. I liked the first Minions movie, but I like Rise of Gru a lot more. But, let's see, negatives. Well, for one thing, I feel that the relationship between Gru and Wild Knuckles could have had more focus. I feel like it should have been... In fact, I feel that it should have been the main plot of the film, rather than a plot where Gru gets kidnapped and then the minions have to save him. I feel like, I mean, that's a serviceable plot, but I feel like a more engaging and more meaningful plot, and as well as a deeper plot, I feel like that would have been to just have more of a focus on Gru and Wild Knuckles, where Gru is looked down upon by villains that are already by successful villains, but then one person believes in him and starts teaching him how to be a villain. I feel like that could have been more of a story. Like, it should have been more of a focus. It should have been the focus, really. But, I mean, we do get some bonding between them, but I would have liked to see more. Like, we needed more of that. But no, instead we just have hijinks with the minions, which is fine. To be fair, this is technically a Minions movie, even though... This is technically a Minions movie, because the word Minions is in the title. But I think that's probably what held the film back, because since it was a Minions movie, of course you have to focus on the Minions too. Whereas they really should have just... they really should have just they really should have just not made this a Minions movie. It should have just been The Rise of Gru and that was it. Because the Minions, I honestly think they just get in the way of the plot. I mean, they're funny, they have good antics, but they just kind of water down the plot's complexity. Because if you put them in, then you're not really going to have a very deep plot. Although, to be fair, the first two movies utilize the minions a lot better than the third movie, the Minions movie, and Rise of Gru. Like, the first movie used the minions a lot better. The minions were not only integral to the plot, but they were actually more tolerable back there. But here it's like they basically went from being characters that made you laugh, but also had importance in the plot, to just characters that made you laugh. Like, they just stopped being important. Although, to be fair, in Rise of Gru, they were fairly important, but, to me, they just kind of got in the way of the origin story. Like, this is supposed to be about Gru, not really about the minions, but yet it's a Minions movie, so... Yeah, I think that's what screwed the film over.
So yeah, like the relationship between Gru and Knuckles, Wild Knuckles, could have had more focus, and the minions should have had less focus. That's how I feel. The Vicious Six, you know, the main villains of the movie, were pretty flat and one-dimensional. They could have been fleshed out. They could have been fleshed out more. I can't type today. The Vicious Six were just flat and one-dimensional. Like, their personalities are so one-note and basic. It's just... They're just there. They could have been interesting, actually. But they were just there. Even Scarlet Overkill from the first Minions movie was more interesting. And even then, she wasn't all that interesting either. But yeah, the Vicious Six, really, they could have had... Like, they could have been more developed. And it also would have been nice to, like... It also would have been nice to, like, have a bit more closure between Wild Knuckles and the Vicious Six, Vicious Five, whatever. Because it's like they kicked him out of the group at the beginning of the movie, but they're never really... And then he tries to take the stone back. But, you know, they never really, like, finish up that arc. It's like... They defeat... Like, the Vicious Six get defeated, but then Wild Knuckles never gets to have any final words with them before just leaving them for good or whatever. So it would have been nice to have a bit of closure on that. But there wasn't any. Okay. So that would have been nice to see. More closure on that conflict. Anything else? Really, I think this is actually a pretty good movie. Like, the plot is a little bit all over the place, but it could have been, at least it's not as bad as, say, Minions or Despicable Me 2. But in that regard, but like, because those movies, well, they weren't all over the place, but they could have been like, but their writing was a bit messy. But Rise of Gru, I'd say the writing is a bit better than in the Minions movie, but not by a whole lot. But still, you know, this movie was still enjoyable. And I think those are all the negatives I could think of. I think those are all the negatives I can think of. But yeah, the biggest issue with this movie is that the relationships between certain characters just weren't developed enough. Because you think that somebody who got kicked out of a group would have liked to, like, you know, maybe rejoin them, or to just like just go back to them and just cuss them the hell out or whatever. But with Wild Knuckles, he really cares more about the stone they stole rather than just like trying to reconcile with his old friends, or trying to get some sort of, or trying to like confront them again and just call them out on their bullshit. There could have been more with that, but there wasn't any. Could have been more of that. Oh well. Like they could have made the relationships in this movie a bit better. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like, Gru got annoyed with the minions earlier in this movie because they messed up, like they usually do. But so he fires them, but later after they save his life, he rehires them because they saved his life in the final battle, if you remember. So, yeah, I think those are all the negatives I can think of regarding Rise of Gru. Sorry, the Rise of Gru. I have to put the in there. Yeah, I know it's a Minions movie, but I feel like that. See, that's the problem. Like, it's a Minions movie. That kind of ruins the plot. Like, it's a Minions movie, so of course the Minions have to like be part of the plot. But then again, at the same time, it's Gru's origin story. I feel like the Minions just get in the way of that. Like this should not have been a Minions movie. That's just my biggest complaint with the film. It should not have been a Minions movie because this was about Gru, not the Minions. But no, they had to make it a Minions movie. It should have just been marketed as The Rise of Gru. Like, the Minions still could have been in the film. They just should have had less importance than they did. Yeah, I don't have much to... Like, I did have some things to say, but honestly, for the most part, I was just like, okay, so it has this and that and this and that, because there's really not much for me to say either. Like, these movies, overall... Well, let me finish talking about The Rise of Gru. So, The Rise of Gru, I actually genuinely enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I definitely thought it was better than the first Minions movie. Although I enjoyed the first Minions movie as well. I just think that The Rise of Gru is better. Um, but, yeah, The Rise of Gru, good movie. Could have been a bit better, but at least the plot's better than that of Minions. The Minions plot was just barely there. This one actually has a plot. Now let me just delete this. The Minions should have had less focus, despite this movie being a Minions movie. LOL. But yeah, Rise of Gru. The Rise of Gru. I enjoyed it. My cousin, her boyfriend, and I had fun watching it. Yeah, Sonic Frontiers got a trailer and release date today. I think the release date is November 8th. And I've already seen the trailer. So far, the game does look good, but again, I shall wait until I see the final product because you saw what happened with Sonic Next Gen, otherwise known as Sonic 2006. You saw what happened with that. Like, the trailer for that game looked amazing. And then we got a crappy product. So, until the product is released, the final product is released, until it's released, I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm not going to think that the game's going to suck, but I'm not going to be like, oh, this game's going to be so awesome. I'm totally hyped for it. No, sorry. I learned my lesson last time. Anyway. Oh, there's a God of War game coming up? Huh. Interesting. Like, I've never played the God of War game before. I actually have the first, like, I actually had the PS4. I actually have the PS4 game as a part of PlayStation Plus. I just haven't gotten around to playing it. But anyway, let's go on to... You're quite conflicted on the game. You mean Ragnarok or the other, or the PS4 game I just mentioned? Oh, you're talking about Ragnarok, I guess. Oh no, you're talking about Sonic Frontiers. I'm sorry. I'm just like wait, no, you're talking about Sonic Frontiers, aren't you? Okay. Well, honestly, I still don't have enough information to form an opinion. That's just for me, though. That's just me. Um, like, I mean, Sonic Frontiers, like, I mean, the game does look good so far, but and Sonic does seem to have a few new moves up his arsenal, like kicking projectiles at enemies, or leaving trails of some sort of light blue energy around, or whatever. So that seems pretty cool. But again, I'm not gonna like comment on the trailer. All I'm just saying, All I'm just gonna say is that it looks cool, but I'm not going to form any opinion on how the game will turn out until, because I just don't want to. I'm just gonna wait until the final product is released. I don't know. I just don't have enough. I just don't have enough to form an opinion. Not enough information. Which is weird because with Security Breach, like when I saw the trailer for that game, I knew it was going to be shit. I knew that it was going to be shit. But with Sonic Frontiers, it's just like I don't know. I don't know what direction this game's going to go in. I don't know if it'll be bad or if it'll be good. Yeah, I can understand that, Maple. Like with Sonic Lost World, that doesn't really feel like a Sonic game. So hopefully Sonic Frontiers doesn't end up that way. I hope. Yeah, hopefully Sonic Frontiers has an idea of what it wants to be. We don't really need another. We don't really need a repeat of Sonic Lost World where the game just didn't know what it wanted to be, so it just smashed a whole bunch of gameplay themes together without any sort of cohesion, and the final product suffered as a result. Well, we do get some modern Sonic gameplay, so yay. Okay. But anyway, back to these movies. So, overall, Despicable Me movies, sorry. Oop. The Despicable Me movies are generally enjoyable. I find the second movie and the Minions movie the worst. Well, not the worst, but the weakest. Let's say the weakest. I find them the weakest ones. I liked 1, 3, and The Rise of Gru. 2 and Minions, they were fine, but they could have been better. 1 is the best, followed by, in my opinion, either The Rise of Gru or 3, and then Minions, and then Despicable Me 2. Or I probably tie this, or maybe I'll put this. I probably tie Minions and Despicable Me 2. I don't know. I feel like it should be 1 and then 3 or Rise of Gru and then 2 or Minions. I think that's how I'd rank them. But that's just me. So how would I rank Despicable Me? I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. Despicable Me 2 gets a 6.5 out of 10. Despicable Me 3 gets a 7 out of 10. Minions gets I don't know, should it get a 6.5 or a 7? I'll give it a 6.5. Rise of Gru gets a 7.5 out of 10. I don't know. I guess I just liked Rise of Gru more than Despicable Me 3. Rise of Gru was a lot more entertaining to me. My ranking 1, Despicable Me, end of ranking, basically. But yeah. But yeah, those are my rankings. So yeah, now we are done with this. I'm actually tired of talking about this series now. Tomorrow I will do How to Train Your Dragon with Tan Man. That'll be fun. And I'll even like talk about the short films briefly. There are like 5 short films for How to Train Your Dragon, and I'm looking at them right now. Let's see, there's Legend of the Bone-Napper Dragon, Book of Dragons, Skips of the Night Fury, Dawn of the Dragon Racers, and then How to Train Your Dragon Homecoming, which is the latest one, and it takes place right after the last movie. But yeah, I've already watched like 2 of these shorts. I just need to watch the last 3, which I will do. But that's for tomorrow. But yeah, Despicable Me, an enjoyable series overall. I actually liked all the movies except maybe 2, which I kind of liked but kind of didn't. It's really 2 that I liked the least, if I'm going to be honest. It was just kind of, I just kind of didn't like it. But the other ones I actually liked. Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon should be a fun discussion because that's actually a really good series. In fact, I'd say like it's even more consistent than Kung Fu Panda in terms of quality. And honestly, I can't really think of any negatives for the series. And I'm not even a big fan of it. Honestly, I honestly kind of didn't care about the series at first, but I decided to just watch it out of curiosity. And I will say that while it is not my favorite series, I will say that it's very good. I don't care about the series, the TV series, though. I don't care about it. So I'm not going to comment on the TV series, just about the movies and the short films. That's it. But yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. How to Train Your Dragon 2. Yeah, I think you'll have fun. I think you'll have fun with that one. Although, fair warning, I won't spoil anything. And you probably have already watched. You've probably already watched it. I don't know if you have, but that movie's the darkest one of the trilogy. In a similar manner to Kung Fu Panda 2, just as Kung Fu Panda 3, just as How to Train Your Dragon 3 is, in my opinion, the most lighthearted of the series, like Kung Fu Panda 3 is. So, yeah, some similarities there between the series. That and Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon both star a young hero who's at first mocked by his peers, but then everyone learns to respect him when he actually kicks ass in the end. So, yeah, similar idea, different execution. And they're both DreamWorks series, obviously, so there's that. Okay, so you have already seen it. Okay, I figured. I wasn't sure, but yeah. I'm sorry. Let me put this article in there. There. Okay. "2014 was a great summer for movies." I honestly don't even remember it. But I'm sure there were plenty of good movies in that year. And I think the first movie was released in 2010. And the third one was released in 2019. So yeah, the third How to Train Your Dragon movie is pretty recent. Along with the short Homecoming that takes place right after it. So yeah, I have all 3 movies on Blu-ray and 4K. And I have the short films on DVD. So the short film collection that has 4 of the shorts, and the Homecoming DVD that has the Homecoming short. I even put it on my Discord server. I was like, oh, here, I have the whole series, everyone. Yay! But yeah, at first I didn't care for the series, but I actually ended up enjoying it. And I was like, ooh, let me watch the second one. In fact, I watched both the first and the second one like in one day. I was going to do like the third right after work. But I was like, I'm too tired because it was pretty late at night. Like, I worked until like 1 a.m. in the morning, which I'm used to. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I should not watch a movie after that because I'll just be too tired. But yeah, we'll talk about that series tomorrow. But yeah, Despicable Me. I enjoyed all the movies. I even enjoyed 2 somewhat, but it was my least. It's just my least favorite. Sorry. I think it might be tied with Minions. I think it might be tied with Minions for the messiest writing. Well, actually, it's not so much that Minions had messy writing. Minions just had lazy writing, in my opinion. It's just the plot is just very bare bones, whereas Despicable Me 2 just had genuinely flawed writing. where Gru needed something to do, so the writers gave him a girlfriend, even willing to mess up the pacing just to make that happen. And I'm like, no, don't do that. That's such an amateurish writing mistake. That's really annoying to see. Or read, whatever. But yeah, that is the end of this rant stream. So again, I get the first Despicable Me movie an 8.5, the second one a 6.5, the third one a 7, the fourth, oops, shit, my bad. The fourth one a 6.5, and the fifth one a 7.5. 22 Jump Street came out in 2014. I did not even know that. Like I saw the movie when it came out. I just didn't know that. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And I enjoyed the movie. Surprisingly, I've never watched the first one aside from bits and pieces of it. Despicable Me is a 6.5 out of 10. The others I don't care to rate. Fair enough. Apparently, Blue Wolf is not a fan of the series. He said in one stream that he thought Despicable Me was kind of ass. I can kind of understand his viewpoint, but I have an overall more positive view of the franchise. Wait, that's not what I wanted to look at. There. I'm just making sure that I got all the negatives of Despicable Me 2, because that one in particular left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Okay. Oh, my bad. Let me go down here. The end. I forgot to put a the end slide. But yeah, that is the end of this Rantstream. Yeah, I'm already tired. But we got it done. We got it done. 3.5. Oh, no, sorry. Almost 4 hours of ranting. Well, technically 3.5 because I took a break earlier. Like a 15 or 20 minute break. But anyway, that'll be the end of that. But yeah, thank you for being here, Maple, and thank you all to everyone else who watched the stream or at least stopped by for a visit. But yeah, see you tomorrow for How to Train Your Dragon, Maple. And see you all tomorrow for that too. So, but anyway, thank you all so much for watching this rant stream. I am ToMiller15, and I'll see you guys next time. So until then, deuces and goodbye.